beautiful. I am so late today. I got a good reason. I had an amazing meditation. What other good reason is there to be late in the morning? I got up at the normal time, I promise. It's just I had to write. There was such a powerful thing that I had to write it down, and when I looked up it was, I should be walking already. So anyway, it is too windy outside to show you the flowers, which is a shame because they're all lovely, but it's too noisy. And so we're doing rocks. And today, I mean, they're all my favourites, but these are two of my favourites, okay? So this is Smoky Quartz Celestial, which means it's all gnarly and growing into itself, and it's, you know, it's what celestials do. And it has blue-green tourmaline in it. Don't know how well you can see the colour because it's coming out a bit dark, but it really is blue-green. So, yeah, it's fabulous. And, you know, when I saw this online and I bought it, when it arrived, I was kind of a little bit disappointed because it's got so much stuff on it. But as I got to know it, I really got fond of it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is lovely to see you. Linda, good morning. So, you know, I'm just turning this over and you can see all the stuff inside it, right? It's got these really clear facets. And then there's all this gnarly stuff. And then there's tourmaline. So it's this great old mixture. And there's the bottom of it, which, you know, all these different bits and pieces. And I'm very fond of it. Annie, it's you! Yay! I knew I recognised the little white dot with the picture in it, but I couldn't work out. It's like, I can't remember who that is. I should know. It's lovely to see you. Julian, good morning. Both the captain and number one are on the bridge. It's awesome. This, no surprise to many, is celestite. And this crystal is such a delight to me because it's got a bit of everything. It's got this beautiful, big, you know, kind of complete and perfect and lovely and shiny and sparkly. Oh, pretty shiny thing crystal there on this end. And then it's got all these little ones, which sort of, you know, sparkle like a sparkly thing. And then it's got another one here. And, you know, more big ones. It's this great mixture, and I'm really fond of it, and it's such a beautiful soft blue. Even within that crystal there, you can see the variations in colour and how cloudy it is or not. So I'm really fond of celestite. It's just beautiful. And from memory, oh yeah, this one came from Madagascar. So there you are. So, lovely soft crystal. It's very sort of cosy and lovely. And oh my God, I had an amazing, amazing experience this morning, and I can't talk about it, so I'm not going to try. So today, what I want to talk about is loving ourselves, loving me, and why you can't love anyone else any more than you love yourself. Jen, good morning. Yeah, it's lovely to see you live. It's great when you can join us. It's great when you can join me. But it's not just me, it's us. We're a community and it's fun when we can gather. Why do you think I do this? Because I love connecting. It's funny. I love connecting this way. It works for me. So, love. Love. Because I was kind of scratching and thinking, what do they need to hear? What do I want to talk about? What's big? What's happening? And so this big, blank, empty space in my awareness. And I was reminded of something that I've heard Joe Dispenza say. You know, if you're stuck, if you're feeling stuck or you're feeling on a plateau, go back to basics. All right, okay. Well, what basics should... Because there's always something inside me that I can tune into. And it was just this feeling of there's something I'm, you know, what is it? It's like, oh, back to basics. Let's talk about love and let's talk about loving self. Because, of course, the program out there and there's a lot of it, that you have to put everybody else first. And if you don't, you're selfish. And what is that anyway? Being selfish, as if that's wrong. You know. And the common definition or the idea of selfishness is the person who claws their way to the front of the queue, who takes from people who need things, who is really in survival, right? They're in that state of being And I love how I get to tie this back to what I know of neuroscience, and I'm so excited. And I can show you this. I just got a new book. It's back to front. Evolve Your Brain. This is Joe's first book, and I remember hearing him say, "There's so much neuroscience in Evolve Your Brain." It's like, yeah, I want the neuroscience. I'm so excited to read it and learn more stuff. So people who are selfish in the way that we don't like, they are in survival. They do not have a coherent brain. They have a brain that is perceiving threat and that feels there's not enough, is feeling lack. They have a body that is feeling lack and saying, I'm hungry and there's not enough food and it's you or me and I want it, right? That is what we think of as selfish. And, you know, to take it to its sort of evolutionary example, and I know I talk about this a lot, but it's just the best way to explain it. If you have a deer that's being chased by coyotes, the only thing the deer is interested in is keeping the body safe. Jingies, good morning! Keeping the body safe. Where in the environment is the danger, and where in the environment is safety, and what's between me and safety that I have to get around or fight my way through to get away from the danger, right? That's the environment. We've got the body, the environment, and how long is it going to be before I can get away from this threat? And how much can I control that? How much can I manage that? How much can I force my way through all of this stuff because I'm running on fear hormones, or I'm angry, I need to fight somebody away, or I'm really sad because something awful's happened to me. Those are the emotions of survival. That is, and it just makes us like an amped up animal. Something bad is happening, and when that is all happening, you don't care about other people. So, you know, yeah, that's really selfish, right? It is really selfish. But you are only in that state of being when your brain is incoherent, and of course your heart's incoherent. Because when you are in that state of running away from danger, or fighting something that you perceive as a threat, or feeling really upset about something awful has happened to you, your heart beats incoherently as well. Quick detour into heart coherence or heart rate variability. You know, we used to think that if your heartbeat was nice and steady, that's an indication of good health. But actually, the heartbeat the space between the heartbeats, right, the gap between the pulses, is actually a measure of health, and it's supposed to vary. And you may even have noticed, if you've done any kind of breathing work, that if you breathe in slowly, as you breathe in, your heart rate accelerates a little bit, and as you breathe out slowly, it drops a little bit. It's because when you breathe in, your sympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system that's about fight or flight, is actually activated. And when you breathe out, your parasympathetic nervous system, which is out about rest and digest, and then there's no danger, and I'm feeling happy and satisfied and relaxed, and I can learn and create. Nora, honey, that's activated on the breath out. So there is this natural shortening of the gap between the pulses as you breathe in, and lengthening of the gap between the pulses as you breathe out. That's just normal. That's what's supposed to happen. But when you're stressed, people who measure, like if you measure the heart rate variability of a person, and you see a picture, and you know, I've got this in Joe's book, it's all jagged. Frustration and anger and fear and despair and sadness and all really jagged heart rhythms. When you're in love, when you're feeling ease and peace and joy, when you're having an elevated emotion, the heart beats like a drum and the rhythm is so regular. It's amazing. It's so different. Really contrast. I don't have the book here, so I can't show you the picture. I have to find it anyway. But just imagine jaggedy uppy down versus something that looks like, I don't know, you know, it's like a triangle wave, but really short, and it's just beautiful. It's so perfect. That's super coherence, and that's what happens when we are in love. When we're in love, and I don't mean in love with someone else. I mean in love, when we are experiencing, feeling love, wholeness, wellness, bliss, ecstasy, but even just, you know, connected. That's what happens. You get more coherent heart rhythms, and the brain, as we talked about, you know, if you're a deer running from coyotes, the brain is very busy assessing the environment and how can I control this and how can I manage this and how can I survive this, and it becomes very fragmented. And for a short period of time to run away from coyotes, you want it to do that. But the thing about people is that they can perceive coyotes and lions and saber-toothed tigers where there aren't any, and they can do it 24/7. And their brain and their body is constantly in this running away mode. And it's like sitting in a car with your foot down on the gas and the other foot on the pedal, on the brake. Revving the shit out of the engine. You're redlining and you're going nowhere. Because you can't throttle your boss, okay? Or you can't strangle your sibling that you've fought with for the last 24 years, or, whatever. You can't do that. So there's all this, but you think about that person or that situation or that thing that happened 24 years ago, and it's just alive and real, and you're still reacting to it and being there. Yeah. So that's not love, right? That is survival. But to really love yourself, okay, we're back from the detour now. To really love yourself, contrary to the programming that has come through a lot of organised religion, and there's nothing wrong with it because there are some very spiritual people who really connect to wonderful ways of being and everything through religion. Doesn't work for me, does wonderful things for many. And I had a religious background. I came through that. For me, it kind of dissolved. The divinity didn't dissolve. Divinity remained and grew bigger and consumes me now. But the religious thing fell apart for me. But it's very valid for many. It's fine. No problem. So, but in a lot of organised religion, there's a lot of misconstruement, if you like, that's the word I just made up, about the way that the ascended masters behaved when it looks like they were putting themselves aside on behalf of others, and the often cited example is Christ, Yeshua, that's how you actually say the name, Yeshua, who was crucified to do, something pretty amazing for humanity and for consciousness and for the planet, because it did change things a lot. But somehow, really, can you imagine this amazing being saying, okay, I want you to all go through your lives feeling crucified. I want you to all go through your lives suffering. I want you to all go through your lives giving until you die inside, because that's the example I set you. Really? I don't think so. I just can't believe that an ascended master would do that. So, to love others is this is what I have learned. Is to love myself. And to love myself is to love others. So what does that practically actually mean? It means we have to sometimes dig very deep inside ourselves about, okay, here's the situation, and I know what my programming is telling me about what I should do. You should do this, you should do that. I've seen 50 other people do it this way, and there's a lot of pressure on me to behave a certain way, right? All of that stuff happens very quickly because there's so many examples in society about how you're supposed to behave and what love means. And for some people, love means pain because, maybe they grew up in a family, they were abused daily by people who said, oh, I love you because I'm your parent, or oh, Bernadette, good morning. Or their parent never said, I love you, and abused them, but they just abused them. And they see other people, they say, oh, I love my parents. And they think, well, these are my parents. Parents are supposed to love their kids, so that must be what love means. And then they go into their own lives and, some variation of that pattern, either exactly the same, because it can happen if people are really unconscious, or they make some kind of decision to change it up a bit because they want to do better than what they experienced. But there's this programming that love means pain. It's like, no, love does not mean pain or fear. In any relationship that's got a ton of pain or fear in it is not love. No. No. But we get programmed with all this stuff. So what? Yeah, I know the message has been totally scrambled, Linda. You're so right. And the more you really go into the original text, which I haven't done, but there's people who studied it, they've gone to the original Aramaic and everything else, they've unpacked it. It's completely scrambled. The original message is amazing and it hasn't changed, Love yourself and then you will love your neighbour. Now, how does that work out? And this is where the deep thought and the deep feeling and consideration and meditation, whatever you want to do, it's like, how do I love myself so much Because remember, if I'm whole, if I'm complete, I'm going to have enough to give. I'm going to naturally have an overflow of my wholeness and my completeness. And how do I love me? What is loving to me in this circumstance? And it might be a circumstance where you've just screwed up again on something that you wanted to change about yourself, and you think, oh, what is wrong with you? And you go off in this internal tirade, which if you stop to observe, you think, oh God, I got that from my parent or my teacher or whatever. You think, hold on right now. I'm so used to shitting on myself like this. But really, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep saying that it's hard to be kind to myself? Really? At what point am I going to just keep playing these old things and believing that it's me when, hang on, are those thoughts and the feelings that flow from them loving to me? Really, are they? And if they're not, well, what do I want instead? Amanda, it's lovely to see you. What is loving to me right now? Really? Because remember, I can only love others as much as I love me. It is not possible to love anybody outside of my skin more than I love myself. Simply not possible. Can't be done. So, look at how you treat others. This is the other way to turn it around. If you feel that, God, it's easy for me to give to others, well, really look at how you give to others. There's a great joy and satisfaction in helping people, and that's why you do it, by the way. You do it for the emotional payoff, because you feel good when you give. There's nothing wrong with that. Just got to read this. Yeah, love your neighbour like you'd want to be loved. And even more, love me so that I have an overflow to give to my neighbour. That's my ethos. Because sometimes my neighbour might not want to be loved the way that I do. Mind you, if I really love my neighbour the way that I want to be loved, I will work out, because I want people to work out how I want to be loved. So I want to be loved in the way that I want to be loved. So that means if I'm going to love my neighbour, I have to work out how my neighbour wants to be loved. Takes a lot of love to do that sometimes, because you have to throw away your own conceptions about what love means. And, whether all the stuff that I have to give is actually what somebody else wants, and sometimes it is not. Dave, good morning! So, this is just a bloody rabbit hole. We go down this rabbit hole of, how do I love myself enough to love others? And there's no blanket answer. And, getting nice treatments and being kind to yourself, they're all great places to start and to play and to continue, by the way. But you start asking some really deep questions. When you just begin to question or just look at, how is it that I love to love myself? How is it that I want to be loved? What feels like love to me? What do I think love is? And if I think about what love is, when I receive it, when I experience it, does it actually really feel good? I know, it's an amazing eureka. Oh my God, there's so many layers. How do other people want to be loved? It might not be how I want to be loved, but really, how do I want to be loved? Because by the time you've gone deep enough in yourself to really, honestly, truly connect with and own and start to live how you want to be loved and what it means for you to love yourself, because it's kind of the same thing, you are going to have some skills that will enable you to figure out how your neighbour wants or does not want to be loved. It's a very deep question, and you can't make any assumptions. None at all. Now, and they're deep questions that you can't really think about. They're questions you have to feel into. And the thing is that once you start getting to grip with this and realizing that there is a fair wallop of intuitiveness, and it's sitting and being receptive and open, and and just thinking, and also responding to little impulses. Oh, I think I just need to do that. That whole thing of how do you embody it and how do you do it? I haven't even really talked about that. But unless you know what it is you want to embody, how can you embody it? So I suppose I'm suggesting to you that you want to really just be curious and don't question it at all, is all of this crap, but just take another look at what you think love that you want to receive and what it is and how it comes and how it feels really is for you. Because maybe you've made a ton of assumptions about it. Because understand, if you feel that love is always going to come with pain or with strings or with obligation or with fear or, whatever, then it doesn't even matter whether you are really consciously trying not to do that with other people. You're going to do that with other people. It's not like you can say, oh, I love myself this way and I love others the other way, another way. It's all the same. And if your sense of caring for and nurturing and looking after and training and molding and, growing yourself, it's not all lovey-dovey. It's like, oh my God, I got to shape up here. If that's full of resentment or obligation or duty, or I've got to do this because somebody said so, your love that you give to others is going to come with the same energy. You can't compartmentalize it. Which is why if you're going to love somebody else properly, you really got to love yourself. You got to find out how, figure out how, feel into what that actually means for you to start with. And that can be very challenging when you've got to wade through a whole lot of stuff and programming and things that are going on in your body and in your life that are difficult, and a brain that says about other things. But, it's also not a question you need to worry about because you don't have the answer. It's a question you answer your entire life. I'm just inviting you to start asking it, start dancing with it. Well, how do I like to be loved? How do I love to be loved? What does love mean to me? What do I want it not to mean to me anymore? And what do I want it to mean to me that it doesn't yet? All that stuff. Because the more you dance with it and play with it and begin to embody it, right? We didn't talk about that today. But, when you know it, you can start living it and acting it and being it and thinking it and feeling it, then naturally you are going to do that for other people. It's an overflow. It's a side effect. Love yourself. You love others. Period. It's Friday, beautiful bee. Thank you so much for joining me. Look out for Resonant Replays over the weekend. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll see you Sunday, Monday. Until then, bye-bye.